Come on in, everyone. Come on in, because we are here for another review of Family or Fiance, y'all. I told y'all I was going to keep doing these reviews. Just my opinion. That's what my show is called, Just My Opinion, of these episodes of Family or Fiance. And like I told everybody the last time, I know it's old. I know it's season 1 and season 2. I even know that it's gone off the air. But let me tell you, these episodes are timeless. Timeless, timeless, timeless. Let me tell you something. If you can't afford no therapy, or you're too embarrassed to go to a therapist, or you got a situation going on, you might want to watch some of these episodes, because these episodes are relatable. They're relatable. Either you've been through it, you're going through it, or you know someone going through it, or you've seen it before. I'm telling you, it is so relatable. But before we really get deep into it, please go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And also don't forget at the end of my video to drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. But we are on season 2, episode 18. And like I said, I'm not really doing these in no particular order. I'm just, randomly picking an episode to watch. And the only reason I picked this episode was because they just ran the replay on YouTube. I'll leave the link below just in case you've never watched it. You should watch along with me. Or if you've already watched it when it originally aired, maybe it will jar your memory and you can still participate in this conversation. But this season 2, episode 18 episode was called In Love and Custody Wars, and it was with Camisha and Rashad. And just like my backdrop says, big hearts get broken. Is that what my backdrop says? Because I don't even know what I'm gonna put up there. Sometimes when I do these reviews, I do my backdrops later, depending on what I said. But big hearts get broken. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm calling it. That's my renaming of it. Big hearts get broken. Because here's the thing, y'all. Now, I know ordinarily a lot of times I'm sitting here and I'm talking about one person who I feel has a big heart. Then I'm talking about another person who I feel is selfish, who's a narcissist. And they're the polar opposites, right? But I'm going to tell you something about this episode, which I found really, really interesting, was actually, I think they all had big hearts. There are really 3 main characters in this episode that are at odds, who are really the ones at, odds or clash. And I really can't even say it's 3. It's kind of 2, but Camisha's kind of in the middle. So the 3 people are Camisha, and Rashad, who are the ones that are engaged. And then there's the mother. So let me go back, because I don't know if any of you remember the episode. Maybe you didn't watch it. But let me set the stage of the love story, because I always like to start with the love story. And Camisha and Rashad both met on set at a stage play. They both are artists. Camisha was a director and Rashad was actually an actor. They're both from New York. And they met on this stage play, and immediately Rashad was like, I want to be with Camisha. You hear this a lot. You hear it a lot. I want women to even pay attention to this, because this idea that it takes men 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years to know, do they want to be with you, is just not always true. Maybe it's true for some men, but a lot of men are like what Rashad is saying, and what I've seen on a couple of these other episodes. Men know pretty quickly. So if they're stringing you along for 5, 6, 7 years, that means they're not sure. But Rashad knew right away that he liked Camisha, and Camisha knew right away that she liked Rashad. I think these two are both very kind-hearted people. Let me say that out the gate. I think both of these people are very kind-hearted people. So I'm going to tell you right now, and I give both of them my blessing. I know I normally wait to the end to say, do I give them my blessing? I'm going to tell y'all right up front, I give both of them my blessing. So in my review recap, I don't just want to talk about what happened. I also want to talk about, like I said, my opinion, and where I think a little bit more attention could have been played. So first of all, I believe that Rashad, Camisha, and Rashad's mother, all of them have big hearts. But here's where they're going wrong. The story goes that Rashad, when he met Camisha, also was married and was going through a divorce and a huge custody battle with the mother of his children. So bad that the mother was trying to keep Rashad away from the kids, okay? Trying to create distance between him and the kids, keeping the kids away from him. He said like for 5 weeks, he couldn't even see his kids. But all that time, when he was being kept away from his kids, his mother, who is the kid's grandmother, had access to the kids. So the kids would come over the grandmother's house. The mother could love on her grandchildren. Anytime the mother wanted to see her grandkids and go over the mother's house, the mother was welcome to come over the mother's house. However, Rashad himself was not able to see his kids. He says that the mother was doing some dirty-handed, underhanded stuff. Now, in the end, the judge must have sided with Rashad, because in the end, now there seems to be 50-50 custody. In fact, Rashad has the kids half the time, and the mother has the kids half the time. So whatever reasons the mother had for keeping Rashad away from his kids, obviously the judge didn't buy it. The judge didn't buy it because in the end, here we are years later. I don't know how many years, but it seems to be quite a few years, maybe over a year. That's what I think. I think it's been at least a year. Here we are a year later. He's gone through the whole custody wars with his ex, and in the end, he got 50-50 custody. So now the ex can't play any sort of games with him seeing the child. So we know that. But where all this kerfuffle starts is what happened in that year. The reason why they're here on Family or Fiance is because Rashad is upset with the mother, his mother, that during the time of this year, when he was going through custody wars with his ex, the mother continued to see the children, and the mother did not do what Rashad did and say, well, Rashad, since you don't have access to the children, I'm going to cut off my access to the children too. You see how I phrased that? I phrased it as, Rashad, since you don't have any ability to see your children, I'm going to cut off my ability to see them too. There it is right there. You see how I phrased it a little bit differently? Because on the show, the way it's being phrased, what Rashad is asking of his mother and why he's upset with his mother is, because the mother is keeping the kids away from me, Mom, I want you not to have anything to do with the mother. That's a completely different framing. It's two different points of views. So here we have the mother, the grandmother of the children, saying, listen, I'm not taking sides. I'm not taking sides over the mother, and I'm not taking sides over you, Rashad. What I'm doing is I'm trying to have a relationship with my grandchildren, and that's all I'm intent on doing. But Rashad is saying, no, in your quest to have a relationship with your grandchildren, it's like you're taking her side. It's like you're taking her side. And I don't think that was the intent of the grandmother. I really don't. I know that there's going to be some split opinions on this. I'm sure there are going to be people who side with Rashad, and there are going to be people who side with the grandmother. And I'm going to tell you right now, where I think it all went wrong was in the framing of it all. Because here's what I think. I think everyone in this group, Camisha, Rashad, and the mother, have big hearts. And sometimes when you get a lot of people together, people who have big hearts, and they all want to care, and they all have big hearts, and they have sensitive feelings, they get their hearts broken. Doesn't mean it's the intent of everyone in the group. No. Not when you're dealing with people with big hearts. Because I actually think Rashad is a caretaker. Because Rashad has taken on this relationship with Camisha, who has multiple sclerosis. That takes a big heart. He didn't have to do that. He already is in the mode of caretaker for her. She's already experiencing some really extreme symptoms of multiple sclerosis. So he knows what he's signing up for. He knows he's signing up for a relationship with a woman who's already been diagnosed with a chronic illness. It's not going away. Can it be controlled with some medication? Sure. But it degenerates over time. Anyone who's known anyone with multiple sclerosis, there's a place where you can keep it down, keep it in control. But as time goes on, it can start to really consume the person. And he has said he's not afraid of that. In fact, he and Camisha are talking about even having more kids because she has multiple sclerosis. I don't know if that's advisable. That I don't know. Now, maybe it is a dream and wish of Camisha's to have children, but I know that Rashad already has children. He has 2. So if he's willing to have even more children with Camisha, it also must mean Camisha wants the children. And Rashad is saying, I'm not only willing to take on this marriage with you and you have a chronic illness, I'm also willing to take on the possibility that if we have children together, you may not be able to do things with the children because of your chronic illness, and I'm willing to do that too. Now, in exchange for that, Camisha's also having to take on some things too, initially, and that is with this ex-wife, the children, in which she had to take on that whole messy situation. So her family's all concerned about, whether or not this is too much for her to take on. Is this going to add stress to her life? Is this going to inflame her life? Well, listen, Camisha needs someone in her life that's going to love on her and care for her through this illness. So she's winning too. So let's not just concentrate on that Rashad has this drama with the ex-wife. Yes, it's true. There's baggage coming in, and there's absolutely some baggage coming in. But if we're truthful, they're both bringing in some baggage. Okay? Camisha's bringing in her fair share of baggage too, and so is Rashad. So I don't think anyone should look at this couple and say his baggage is worse than her baggage or her baggage is worse than his. These two people love each other. They're clear on what the baggage is coming to their relationship, and they're okay with it because their love for each other, I think, is here to overwhelm it. Now, like I said, here we are a year later. The custody battle has been worked out. The judge did that. Camisha has a very good relationship with the children. So does the father, Rashad. It's all cleared up. But yet and behold, we're still here because Rashad hasn't spoken to his mother for over a year. Now, here is where I believe that a lot of the communication really broke down. Everybody is telling Rashad, you should be talking to your mother. You shouldn't talk to your mother for a year because she's your mother. Everybody is telling the grandmother, you should have not spoken to the ex-wife because Rashad is your son. Okay, I have a little bit of a different opinion. And my opinion is this. Rashad actually should be happy that the mother continued to see the children during that year. Because if the mother had not been in the children's life, then those children would have not had any access to anyone on Rashad's side of the family. And I think that would have been a tragedy. So I think what should have been communicated more to Rashad is, listen, you're right. You're going through a custody battle with your ex-wife. But is the best solution that now your children don't have any access to anyone on our side of the family? Because you're going through with your ex-wife, should the children be the punishment for that? Should the children get punished because of what you're going through? So in Rashad asking his mother to choose him over the ex-wife, what Rashad is also asking the grandmother to do is to choose him also over the children. And what I would say to Rashad is, why would you be willing to leave your children hanging out like that? You see, if you are a parent and you know that you can't be around for any reason, whether or not you're being blocked from the children, whether or not you pass away, your next best thing is to say, I want my children to still know me, know who I am through someone who loves me. And Rashad, what should have been communicated with Rashad is, since you've been cut off from communication from your children, let me speak for you. Let me represent you in your children's life. When your children are around me, your mother, because we have a good relationship, because what we know is that Rashad has had a good relationship with his mother up until then. There's no history he's bringing up. So let me be your spokesperson. Anything your wife may be saying bad about you because she's blocking you from your kids, let me be the light in your children's lives so I can tell them, no, that's not your father. This is who your father is. Let me tell your children the good things about you. Because if you cut me out your kid's life, Rashad, just because you've been cut out, guess what? You don't have a spokesperson. And let me tell you something else, Rashad. Those kids knowing that you're not speaking to your mother because your mother is trying to maintain a relationship with them actually makes you look worse. Okay, because what a child would see is, wow, my father's not around. Okay, they don't know the whole thing, probably what's going on with your mother, with their mother, your wife. She could be bad mouthing you. But now what they do know is you're not talking to your own mother. So now your children see, hey, my daddy can't get along with my mother, and my daddy can't even get along with his mother. You look like the worst person. I understand that Rashad was hurt. I understand that he might have felt his mother was choosing his grandkids over him, but it was short-sighted. It was really short-sighted. He should have seen the bigger picture. And I know the mother couldn't articulate that to him, but I think that's where it was missed. And in fact, I think Tracy, who was also the counselor, should have also said that to him, that you're missing the big picture. Your mother should be your representative in your child's life until you can come back. Lots of parents have moments when they're not in their children's life, whether they're in the military, whether or not they pass away, whether or not they're sick. You need other loved ones to step in and represent your love to those children. But when you start feuding with the very person who's trying to be in your children's life, you look bad. Rashad looked bad in front of his children. And let me tell you, had he been successful, it could have been worse. Because let me tell you something, as a child, even when parents go through the divorce, one thing a child doesn't want to have to do is, why do I have to choose between my mother and my father? Why can't I love them both? Why can't I have a good relationship with my mother, but also have a relationship with my father during divorce? And what Rashad was doing was, he was very thing that his kid, the very thing that the mother was doing, taking the kids away from him, he was doing the very thing to the grandmother. He wanted to take the grandmother away from the kids. Because listen, it's a two-way relationship, Rashad. It's just not that the grandmother is there for the kids. It's not, and it's also the kids are there for the grandmother. So I think Rashid didn't get it right. I don't think he got it right at all. I think Rashad was so deep in his pain, in fact, that he was seeing it from the lens of, my mother has chosen my ex-wife over me. And what he didn't do was, he didn't actually look out for the best interests of his children. He was deep in his own pain. Because honestly, if he had thought about it from the perspective of his children, he would have realized that having the grandmother in those children's life to represent him actually would have been the better plan. Because the plan he wanted to happen was, he wanted the mother to not only cut off the mother, he wanted the mother to cut off the grandchildren. And the more we found out, the mother really wasn't doing anything for the mother of the children. The grandmother really wasn't doing anything. In fact, the grandmother said over and over again, when I bring food for these grandchildren, I bring the food when the grandchildren were with the mother and when the grandchildren are with Rashad. I do equally. But what Rashad wanted the grandmother to do was, no, the way I want you to show your loyalty to me, mother, is to cut off that woman completely so she gets no benefits from your love. But at the same time, it will also cut off love from the children. And he shouldn't have wanted that for his children. Not at all. Because let me tell you, if you can't take care of your children and you can't be around, the next best option is for someone to be around your children that you love and you trust. And if you then get mad at that person who's going to be your surrogate, who's going to stand in for you while you can't be there for whatever reason, then you're short-sighted. You're very, very short-sighted. Now, ideally, when the mother was with the children, Rashid could have gone over there and seen the children, but I believe the mother had an order against that. So he wasn't able to go over and see the children when the children were with the grandmother. Even more reason why he should be happy that the mother had time with those children so that those children could get to know his side of the family, know him, meet his cousins, his uncles, all of that. I'm very happy that the mother did not listen to Rashid. And I'm very happy because what I'm happy about is Rashid is an adult. He should be able to work through these emotional gymnastics better than a child can. Because we either would have been in two places at this point. We would have either had Rashid, who is now upset with the mother, or we would have had children who felt abandoned by their grandmother. We would have had one or the other. And I'm not for sure which one would be easier to mend. I would hope that it would be easier for the adult, who's Rashid, to come to a better understanding of how this all played out than it might be for the children. Because all children know is, you left me. You see, Rashid is thinking like the child is probably thinking, you left me. But part of being an adult is being able to elevate, to have a higher level of emotional intelligence. And what Rashid was banking on was that the grandmother was going to have to leave somebody. She was either going to have to leave the grandchildren or she was going to have to leave the son. And she didn't want to leave either one. But what she decided to do was she decided to let the son go. Because let me tell you, the responsibility to come to a higher level of emotional intelligence should be the son. It should have been him. Because I'm not for so sure of how you can expect a child to understand, hey, I'm not going to be around you, grandson or grandchild. I'm not going to be around you because your mom is doing my son wrong. No, that's not a matter for a child to have to work out in their head. Not at all. The work, the mental gymnastics, the emotional gymnastics that have to go on. And I do understand there's some gymnastics that has to go on in Rashad's head, but it should be done by him. I'm glad the mother maintained a relationship with those grandchildren. I am. And in the end, I'm happy that Rashad came around. Now, in the end where he came around, I think he came around because he's just tired of beefing with his mother and he missed his mother. But I hope he also comes around to realize that it was actually the better decision and that the decision that the mother made actually helped him. You see, that will be full healing. Not only is he forgiving his mother just because it's his mother, he needs to forgive his mother because in the end, it actually was the best decision. That's what I believe. That's just my opinion. But anyway, let me know what y'all think down in the comments and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.